Hello there. As you can probably hear, still a bit lousy with COVID, can't really do anything musical, so I figured, why the hell not? In celebration of the arrival of Obi-Wan Kenobi on the Disney Plus channel, here are my top 5 favourite lightsaber battles. Now, I'm only going to do the ones from the movies, okay? I'm not going to get involved with the animated series because there's hundreds of lightsaber battles in the animated series, far too many to assess. I'm just going to do the ones from the movies. And I'm also not going to include the corridor incident from the end of Rogue One, or indeed the similar corridor incident from the end of Mandalorian Season 2, because they are not really lightsaber battles so much as lightsaber events. I'm definitely thinking of lightsaber on lightsaber action here. So, let's get in here with number 5, the OG lightsaber battle, Darth Vader versus Obi-Wan Kenobi, Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope. I do know that this fight's coming from a fair bit of stick over the years, because compared to pretty much every subsequent lightsaber battle, it is all a bit sedate and polite. And I know there have been a couple of fan-made attempts to try and lively it up a bit, which George Lucas may indeed one day incorporate into the cut, because that's the kind of thing George Lucas does. But you've got to remember that this was the first time we'd ever seen lightsabers being used. Well, being used properly. Earlier on, you see Luke switching it on in Obi-Wan's hut and waving it about a bit. Then you get that brief altercation in Mos Eisley Cantina. But this was the first time we'd ever seen an actual lightsaber duel. Because lightsabers are possibly the single coolest idea in the Star Wars universe. They're the thing that elevates it above tawdry space opera. And at the end of the day, sword fights are always going to be more fun than gunfights. Number 4, Obi-Wan Kenobi and Qui-Gon Jinn versus Darth Maul, Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. Now, I am not really a fan of the lightsaber duels in the prequels, or rather, what the lightsaber duels would ultimately become. There was obviously a fairly massive rethink with regards to the sword fight choreography between the making of the original trilogy between 77 and 83 and the prequel trilogy from 99 to 2005. In particular, there's a lot more Asian elements coming into what had previously been a kind of European broadsword fighting technique. The good guy Jedis are employing what looks like Japanese katana fighting, and in this instance, the bad guy, Darth Maul, is basically fighting wushu. Regardless of what this rather over-choreographed fighting style would become in the later prequels, the first time you got to see it here, it was all pretty exciting and breathtaking. And also, this is the first time you'd ever really got to see Jedi going full Jedi. This is something which had been alluded to in the previous trilogy, but now you're actually getting to see it. Number 3. Luke versus Darth Vader, Star Wars Episode 6, Return of the Jedi. Now, what I like about this one is the obvious progress that has been made since the previous one. The last time you see these guys fight in Empire Strikes Back, Darth Vader is almost dismissive. You know, he fights one-handed, Luke fights two-handed. The imbalance between them is pretty glaring. And now you see Luke coming back, having done, well, nobody's entirely sure exactly what in the meantime, but evidently gotten a lot better with the lightsaber. And they have just far more obviously evenly matched. Number 2, Kylo Ren versus Finn and subsequently Rey, Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens. Given that I hadn't been much of a fan of the very, very highly choreographed sword fighting scenes in the prequels, I was really pleased when Force Awakens came out and the sword fighting scenes look a lot more like people actually trying to hit each other with swords. In the prequels, it had all gotten a bit balletic. It didn't really look like people fighting. It looked like people executing incredibly complicated dance moves. Whereas in Force Awakens, not only is the effect on Adam Driver's sword make it sound and look heavier than your average lightsaber, the way he wields it makes it look heavier. And again, we're kind of back into this European broadsword tradition. But yeah, it really actually looks like they're trying to hit each other and do damage. And that was very refreshing. Before I unveil my number 1 pick, one dishonourable mention. Obi-Wan Kenobi versus Anakin Skywalker, Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. Right, now not only does this duel kind of sum up everything that's wrong with the sword fighting choreography in the prequels, it kind of sums up everything that's wrong with the prequels. You see, this sword fight is a big bloody deal. It's where all 6 movies that had been released up to that point had been leading. So plot-wise, it's crucial. This is the moment at which Anakin finally falls to the dark side. It's also the moment at which Anakin gets physically fucked up enough to require the Darth Vader suit. So plot-wise, it's a big deal, but thematically, it's a massive deal. You've got this fight between essentially adopted brothers or almost adopted father and son. You have a prophecy going horribly wrong. You have the emptiest victory it's possible for someone to achieve when Obi-Wan prevails over Anakin and breaks his own heart in the process. That's why this fight is a big deal. It's not a big deal because the two combatants slug each other while standing on hovering robots over pyroclastic flow. This fight sums up everything that's wrong with the prequels. Their preponderance for empty spectacle over emotional weight. This moment would have been way more effective if it had taken 5 minutes and happened in absolute silence in a deserted car park. As it is, it's like an exercise in overblowing. It starts epic and gets more epic and gets more epic and gets more epic until it's finally impossibly epic. And somehow the more epic it gets, the less you give a shit. And finally, number 1, Luke versus Darth Vader, Star Wars Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back. This is the daddy as far as I'm concerned, okay? First of all, there is, for the first time, a ferocity to a lightsaber duel. Darth versus Obi-Wan was all a bit polite, whereas when Luke fights Darth Vader, you get the feeling that they really don't like each other. And again, the stakes are massive because Luke is not ready. We know he's not ready. The whole plot of the movie is that he isn't ready. And of course, he's walking into a trap. But he goes anyway because that's what you do when your pals are being tortured. And like I said, Darth Vader is almost dismissively just batting him away with one hand. Although, of course, as we subsequently discover, there's an element of Darth Vader pulling his punches because the one thing he doesn't want to do is kill Luke. And then it ends with the 5 most traumatic minutes in cinema history. Now, of course, famously, this fight ends with the "No, I am your father" reveal, possibly the biggest jaw-dropper in movie history. And I'm sorry if I've just spoiled that for anybody, but you really should have gotten on top of that one by now. But of course, what everybody forgets is that immediately prior to the "No, I am your father" reveal, Darth Vader cuts Luke's fucking hand off. I'm sitting watching this when I was 10 years old. I have no idea that's coming. I'm watching Star Wars. Star Wars up until this point has been, it's been a sort of a fun space movies and about good guys and bad guys and getting into scrapes and saving them. Then, oh, fuck me, he's cut his arm off. And Mark Hamill, bless him, sells the fuck out of that moment. That's the most pain I'd ever seen anybody experience in a movie up until that point. So by the time Darth comes on with the "No, I am your father" reveal, my nerves are jangling to fuck already. So yeah, that's the one, folks. That's the lightsaber battle against which we must judge all others. The stakes are higher, the moves are fiercer, and oh fuck me, the payoff. So go on then, you're all Star Wars fans, you've all got an opinion. Tell me why I'm wrong.
Thanks for watching. If you liked it, please hit like and share. If you'd like to see more, please hit subscribe. And if you'd like to help me make more, please visit patreon.com/MitchBen.